The message and the child. The stars outside the broken window blinked like tiny eyes. John walked slowly through the silent ruins of the old space station. His flashlight cut through the dust, revealing broken machines and burnt-out screens. It smelled like rust, smoke, and old oil. He was not here for beauty. He was looking for parts, something he could sell or trade. That's what scavengers did. Search, collect, survive. And John was one of the best. He walked into a dark control room. The floor was cracked, wires hung from the ceiling like metal vines. He tapped an old control panel, but nothing happened. Then he heard it. A sound, not a machine, not wind, but a voice. Human, please. John froze. His heart beat faster. He turned slowly and raised his flashlight. The beam landed on a small figure in the corner. It was a child, but not a human one. She was small, thin, with gray-blue skin and big silver eyes. Her clothes were torn and her arms were shaking. John took a step back, surprised. "Who are you?" he asked, keeping his voice calm. The child looked up at him with tears in her eyes. "My name is Lyra," she said, her voice soft. "Please, you have to help me." John looked around, confused. "Are you alone?" he asked. She nodded slowly. "My mother. They took her." "Who took her?" John asked. "The Sky Hunters," Lyra said, her voice filled with fear. "They came in fire ships and captured her. She's in their prison, in the Sky Cage." John had heard of the Sky Hunters. They were space pirates, cruel and powerful. They hunted rare aliens and sold them or used them for experiments. They lived in huge flying ships that moved like ghosts. No one who entered their territory came back, at least not alive. "Why did they take her?" John asked. "She's a healer," Lyra said. "She knows secrets of life energy. They want her to use it for war." John looked at the child. He could see pain in her eyes. She was just a kid, but still brave, still standing, still hoping. "Why are you asking me?" John said. "I'm just a scavenger." "You are human," Lyra said, "and only a human can unlock the cage." John frowned. "What do you mean?" Lyra stepped closer. "The Sky Cage was made by old humans before the Great War. My mother said only a human fingerprint and code can break the lock." John stayed quiet. He didn't want to get involved. Sky Hunters were dangerous, and he was no hero. But something in Lyra's eyes held him. She wasn't begging. She was trusting him. And trust was rare in this universe. "I don't even have a ship," John said. "I have one," Lyra replied. "But I don't know how to fly it." John sighed. He had planned to leave this place with junk, but now he had found something far more valuable, not in money, but in meaning. He looked at the child again. She was waiting, not crying, not speaking, just waiting. "Okay," he said finally. "I'll help you." Lyra smiled, a small, sad smile. "Thank you, human," she whispered. John nodded. "Show me the ship." They walked through the station together. Lyra guided him to a hidden hangar. Inside was a strange but beautiful vessel. It looked like a mix of alien tech and human design. "She made it," Lyra said. "My mother, before they took her." John walked up the ramp and stepped inside. The ship was clean, but silent. He touched the control panel. It lit up. It responded to him. "This ship knows me," he said quietly. "Yes," Lyra said. She believed a human would come. John sat in the pilot seat. The feeling was strange, like coming home after a long war. He looked back at Lyra. "Where's the Sky Cage?" he asked. Lyra walked to the screen and entered a location. The map zoomed in. A red dot blinked on the edge of a dark star field. "That's where she is," she said. John stared at 5 yards. In the screen, Sky Hunter territory. He was about to walk into death, but for some reason, he wasn't afraid. He looked at Lyra again, her small hands holding on to hope like it was a shield. "Strap in," he said. "We've got a mother to rescue." And with that, the ship rose into the stars, assembling the crew. The ship shook as it jumped out of hyperspace. John gripped the controls while Lyra stared at the blinking warning lights. They were still far from Sky Hunter territory, but danger was already close. Behind them, a silent drone had been following for over an hour. It didn't fire. It didn't speak. It just watched. John powered down the ship's engines and let them float in silence. "Why did you stop?" Lyra asked. John didn't answer right away. He opened a locked box beside his seat and pulled out a small rusted badge. The letters on it were almost faded. UHMC, United Human Military Command. You were a soldier? Lyra asked, surprised. John nodded, slowly. I was something worse, he said. I was a sky hunter. Lyra's eyes widened in shock. But you said they were evil. They are, John said, and so was I. I left them after I saw what they did to children like you. He pressed a button and the drone outside powered down. It's one of ours, John said. It came to check if I was really dead. They think I'm a traitor. The silence between them was heavy. John stood up. If we're going to break into the sky cage, he said, I'll need help. Old friends scene change, planet Ashfall. They landed on a burned-out mining colony. The ground was black, the air full of ash. John stepped out and looked around. This place is dead, Lyra whispered. Not all of it, John replied. They walked into an old warehouse where machines once dug deep into the planet. Now it was a fighting pit full of screams and metal. In the center, a woman fought 3 cyber gladiators. She moved like lightning, blades spinning from her arms. She didn't bleed, she made others bleed. When the fight ended, she looked up. Her face was half machine, half scar. She saw John and froze. Hello, Vega, John said. I should kill you, she growled. You left me on Titan 5. You survived, John replied. I need you again. Vega spit blood and laughed. You always bring trouble, she said. Who's the kid? Her mother's in the sky cage, John said. Vega's smile faded. She looked at Lyra and nodded once. All right, she said. One last mission. Scene change, Moonbase Echo 9. The next recruit was even harder to find. They docked at a hidden moonbase deep underground. It smelled like electricity and lies. Inside the control room, a man was sitting on a couch made of stolen seats. He wore a VR headset and was dancing to music only he could hear. When he took the headset off, his eyes glowed green. John, he said. Still alive, I see. Wex, John replied. Still hiding. Hiding keeps me breathing, Wex said. You need a hacker, right? I need the best, John said. I'm retired. I'll wipe your bounty, John said. Wex froze. You can do that? I can try. Wex laughed, stood up, and clapped. Let's go steal a mother, he said. Scene change. Abandoned warship. Graveyard. They flew through the graveyard of dead warships. Twisted metal floated in silence, each ship a tomb. John guided the ship toward the biggest one, a broken dreadnought. This is a bad idea, Wex muttered. Then it must be the right one, Vega replied. Inside the ship, deep in the dark halls, they found him. A giant alien with 4 arms and glowing skin. He was chained to the floor, humming an old Earth song. Krogar, John said. You awake? The alien opened one eye. You owe me a ship, he growled. I'll give you a war, John said. Krogar broke his chains like paper. Good, he said. I was bored. Final scene. Crew assembled. Back on their ship, the crew sat around a glowing table. Lyra looked at each of them. Killer, hacker, warrior, and her human hope. John stood up. We don't have time for mistakes, he said. We're heading straight into the nest of monsters. They will kill us if we fail. Then we don't fail, Vega said. Let's burn them, Kroger growled. I've already hacked into their radio, Wex added. They don't even know we're coming. Lyra looked at them, hope burning in her chest. Her mother was out there waiting. And now she wasn't alone. The sky hunters had stolen the wrong child, and the wrong human had heard the message, the journey begins. The ship left orbit in total silence. No music, no cheering, no final goodbye. Just the soft hum of engines as they entered the dark side of the star system. John sat in the pilot's seat, eyes locked on the navigation screen. Lyra stood beside him, her hands shaking slightly. This is the last safe zone, John said. After this, we're ghosts. The others sat in the back, Vega sharpening her knives, Krogar meditating like a silent tank, and Wex eating chips while hacking the security net. Each one of them had faced death before, but none had faced this. The black silence, Wex whispered. We have to pass through it. No signals, no gravity, no light. It eats ships. John nodded. There's no other path. Scene, entering the black silence. As they crossed into the black silence, the lights flickered, the stars outside disappeared, the ship floated in nothing, no sound, no signal, no direction. This place was a battlefield once, John said. Thousands of ships died here. Some say the dead still speak. Suddenly a whisper came through the radio. A woman's voice, soft, broken. Help me. Save the child. Everyone froze. Lyra's eyes filled with tears. That's her, she whispered. That's my mother. But how? Vega asked. We have no connection here. The lights turned red, warning signs flashed. Unknown entity on board. John grabbed his weapon and turned around, but the room was empty. Then, something moved, a shadow, walking across the walls like smoke. I see you, human, the voice hissed. You bring fire to the cage. Scene, the phantom trap, the ship's engines shut down, systems locked. Wex panicked, typing fast. We've been hacked. No, this is old magic, Krogar growled. Soul code, ancient tech, built with memory and pain. Suddenly the ship began to drift, pulled by invisible force. On the screen appeared a giant object, half alive, half machine, a dead ship, but somehow, watching them, John stood up. We're not going in there. You have no choice, the voice whispered. This is the test. The ship was pulled inside. Doors closed behind them, no turning back. Scene. Inside the ghost ship, the air smelled like fire and blood. Lights flickered across broken walls. Voices echoed. Cries of pain, laughter, whispers in forgotten languages. They moved through the corridors, weapons ready. Every wall had carvings, human names, alien words. Some crossed out in blood. Vega read one and stopped. My name is here, she whispered. So is mine, John said. This ship knows us. Suddenly the doors slammed shut. They were trapped. Lair screamed as the lights went out. Scene. Hall of regret. Each crew member was pulled into a different room. Alone, faced with their worst memories, John saw the battlefield where he had left civilians behind. Vega saw her own hands killing someone she once loved. Krogar saw his homeworld burn. Wex saw himself in chains, laughing as he betrayed his friends. Lyra stood in a dark room, her mother's voice calling out. But when she ran to it, she found a cage of light, empty, alone. Then a voice. Do you still want to save her? Yes, she whispered, tears in her eyes. Then break your fear. Scene. Breaking the illusion. One by one, they fought through the illusions. John fired his weapon at the ghosts, screaming. Vega broke her own arms to escape a memory cage. Krogar roared and tore down walls. Wex cried but kept typing, rewriting the soul code. And Lyra, she walked into the light unafraid. I'm not alone, she said. They're coming for you. The illusion shattered. The ship's systems came back online. Engines roared. They escaped the ghost ship. Barely. Final scene, nearing the Sky Hunters. As they left the black silence, they saw it. The sky cage floating above a burning planet surrounded by hundreds of fighter drones. We found her, Lyra whispered, but her hands were cold. The Sky Hunters were already waiting. They knew we were coming, John said. They let us live. For now. Krogar cracked his knuckles. Then, let's give them something to regret. And the ship raced forward toward fire, steel, and a mother waiting in chains. The journey begins. The stars looked wrong. That was the first thing John noticed as they jumped to the next system. Each star blinked slower, colder, like they were watching, not shining. Wex leaned forward and stared at the map. This place isn't on the charts, he said. I know, John replied. I erased it. Lyra looked up, surprised. Why? Because what waits here shouldn't be found. Scene, the silent signal. The ship passed through a narrow path between two dead suns. Suddenly, the ship's radar beeped only once. Then silence. Vega frowned. That was a distress call. No, John said. It wasn't. It was a warning. He opened a hidden compartment beneath the console. Inside was a black box, pulsing slowly. He placed it on the table, and it came alive. A hologram appeared. An old human general with cold eyes. This is Commander Arcos, the message said. If you're hearing this, you are near zone Yo 9, this deadline. Do not continue. Turn around. The message ended. No one spoke. Even Krogar looked unsure, but Lyra stood and placed her hand on the map. She's ahead, she said. I feel her. They're moving her. If we wait, we lose her. Scene. Something in the dark. The ship continued slowly. The lights flickered every few seconds. Wex checked his systems again and again. We're being watched, he said, but nothing's locking on. Suddenly, a soft tapping came from the hull. Tap, 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 like fingers on metal. Is that outside? Vega asked. No, John said quietly. It's on the ship. They all stood up, weapons ready. Then the tapping moved, across the ceiling, toward the engine room. John ran, flashlight in hand. The hallway stretched longer than it should have. Then, silence. He opened the engine room, empty, but something had scratched the wall. 3 words, burned into the steel. You are late. Scene. The broken Stargate. Minutes later, they reached their next checkpoint, an ancient jump gate, floating near a dead moon. It was half destroyed, barely stable. John hesitated. If we use this, we may not come out the other side. If we don't, we'll never catch them, Vega said. Krogar placed his hand on the gate control. I'll go first, he said. You'll follow if I live. Before anyone could stop him, he pressed the button. The gate screamed to life, and Krogar's pod shot into the void. Silence again. Then his voice crackled over the radio. Alive, he said, but not alone. The gate opened wider. They followed, seen. The other side. They landed in a place that didn't feel real. There was light, but no source. Space, but no stars. Just floating wreckage. Ships that never returned. And in the center, the Sky Hunter's shadow fleet. Dozens of ships cloaked in darkness, each shaped like a hunting bird, but they were not moving. They're empty, Wex said, scanning. No pilots. That's not possible, John muttered. Then the crew felt it. A pressure in the air, a force pressing on their minds. Lara dropped to her knees, holding her head. She's close, she whispered. But something is with her. Seen. The signal trap. Suddenly their ship locked up. The controls froze, engines offline. A signal came through. Visual only. It was her. Lyra's mother, locked inside a glowing cage floating in a black room. Her face was calm, but her eyes were screaming. Then the screen glitched, and a new face appeared. Human, smiling. Hello, John, the man said. I was wondering when you'd come home. John's blood turned cold. Commander Venn, he whispered. You're dead. Not quite, the man said. Just upgraded. And now you've brought me what I need. He looked at Lyra. The key. The message ended. The ship powered down completely, trapped in silence again. Final scene. Decision time. John walked to the back of the ship, breathing hard. He looked at the crew, tired, scared, but ready, and then he looked at Lyra. This was never a rescue mission, he said. This was a trap. They knew I'd come. Lyra stood tall. Then let's break it, she said. They want fear. Let's give them fire. The crew gathered their gear. One way or another, they were going into the sky cage, even if it was a cage made just for them. Entering the Lair. The sky cage was not a station. It was a floating fortress wrapped in silence and shadow. From the outside, it looked like a giant bird, wings made of steel and flame. But inside, it was worse. It was a maze, a trap, and every hallway breathed like it was alive. Scene. The disguise. John stood near the cargo bay, staring at a crate marked authorized human only. They had stolen it from a Sky Hunter scout ship hours ago. Inside were old uniforms, masks, ID tags, and something stranger, an access key made of bone. This isn't just security, Vega said, holding the key. This is ritual. They don't guard the cage like a prison, Krogar added. They worship it like a god, Wexwa. Silent, staring at the monitor. The sky cage is rewriting itself, he said. Its shape is changing. They know we're coming. Then we don't sneak in, John said. We walk in like we belong. Scene. Infiltration begins, disguised in Sky Hunter armor. The crew loaded into a stolen drone pod. Lyra stayed hidden under the floor, her breath soft and still. As the pod flew toward the main entrance, John kept his eyes down. Soldiers patrolled the sky paths, tall, thin, helmeted things that looked barely human. Some had no mouths, others floated above the floor. They passed through the gate, no alarms, no scans, just a soft whisper in John's ear. "Welcome back, Captain." John didn't answer. He couldn't, because that voice was not in the speakers. It was in his mind. Scene. The living walls. Inside the sky cage, the walls moved, not fast, not loud, just slow breathing. Metal expanding and shrinking like lungs. Lyra whispered, "It's watching us. It knows who I am." They reached the first checkpoint, a dark hall full of floating crystals glowing blue. Krogar stepped forward and touched one. It screamed. Suddenly the hall flooded with red light. Doors slammed, alarms started, but only inside their helmets. "Psychological attack," Wex said, ripping off his helmet. "They're trying to make us panic." John took off his helmet too. "Don't listen," he said. "Focus on the mission." Lyra looked at the crystals and pointed. "They're memory stones," she said. "They hold screams, pain, fear, energy for the prison." "Then let's break them," Vega said, pulling a blade. "No," John said. "We're not here to fight the cage. We're here to beat it." Scene, the betrayer moves. As they walked deeper, someone behind them sent a signal, a single pulse, coded and silent, invisible to the eye, but deadly. The Sky Hunters received it and smiled. Scene, reaching the core. At the heart of the sky cage, a giant chamber opened before them. A machine pulsed in the center, part biological, part metal. Tubes filled with liquid held other prisoners, floating in silence. Lyra gasped. "There," she pointed. "She's inside that one." Her mother floated in one of the chambers, still, eyes closed, but her mind was awake, broadcasting pulses of warning, pain, and memories. John walked toward the control panel and stopped. On the screen was a message. "Unlock code. DNA. Match found." It blinked once, then spoke. "Hello, Captain John Vexley. You have returned to finish your work." Scene. Revelation. "What is this?" John whispered. "You were one of them," the system said. "Built this cage, left it unfinished." Wex stepped back, shocked. "You said you were a traitor. You never said you were the architect." "I didn't know," John whispered. Or maybe, deep down, he had always known. "This isn't just a prison," Vega said. "It's a weapon." Lyra placed her hand on the tube. Her mother opened her eyes, then whispered, "Run." Scene. The ambush. The doors exploded open. Sky Hunters flooded the chamber, weapons glowing. The betrayer stood behind them, Wex holding a gun. "I'm sorry," he said. "They offered me freedom, and I chose it." John didn't move. He stared at Wex, then nodded slowly. "You made your choice." Then everything moved at once. Vega threw a blade. Krogar charged like a beast. Lyra screamed, and the lights died. In the dark, the real mission began. The betrayal. Darkness swallowed the chamber. Screams echoed from all sides. Blaster fire lit the air like broken lightning. And in the center of it all, John was frozen, not by fear, but by memory. Scene. Wex's true choice. Wex held his weapon high, but didn't fire. He had betrayed them, yes, sent the signal, opened the gates, but in that moment, something cracked. Ket inside him. Lyra's scream hit him like a blade. She wasn't afraid of dying. She was afraid of losing her mother again. Wex lowered his weapon. "I didn't know they would take her," he muttered. "But you still sold us," Vega snarled, dodging a shot and throwing a blade. The blade missed Wex by inches, but it hit the control panel behind him. The glass chamber holding Lyra's mother began to crack. Scene. The cage reacts. Suddenly, the sky cage roared. Literally roared. The entire fortress shook, not from damage, but from rage. "You broke the balance," the system said. "You touched the heart." Metal vines burst from the walls. They weren't wires. They were alive. One grabbed Krogar by the leg, trying to pull him into the floor. He roared and ripped it off. Another wrapped around Vega's arm, burning her skin. John pulled Lyra close. "Stay with me," he said, but she was staring at the chamber. Her mother was awake now, eyes glowing, mouth moving. "She's telling me to run," Lyra whispered. "But she's not scared. She's angry." Scene. Wex's redemption. Wex ran to the back of the room, typing on a wall console. "I can open the inner core," he said. "She's connected to it." But I have to stay here to hold it open. John looked at him. You're trying to earn redemption. No, Wex said. I'm trying to matter. I was always the weakest link. Let me break the chain. John nodded once and left him behind. Scene: the descent. They entered the final hallway. Everything around them changed. No metal, no screens, just white walls, soft lights, and silence. This isn't the prison, Vega whispered. This is a memory. The hallway was made from Lyra's thoughts. Paintings from her childhood appeared on the walls. A lullaby played softly in the distance. She was trying to protect me, Lyra said. She gave them her mind so they would leave me alone. But the Sky Hunters had lied. They had wanted both. Seen, the true enemy. In the heart of the sky cage was no throne, no control room, only a mirror. John walked up to it and saw himself, but younger, smiling, in Sky Hunter armor, designing the systems, building the cage. He had built it long ago, then erased his memory to escape what he had done. You weren't just part of this, Vega said, stepping beside him. You were the architect. I built the prison, John said, but she is the key. Scene: the mother breaks free. Behind them, the chamber exploded. Lyra's mother rose, wrapped in glowing light. The cage couldn't hold her anymore. She was more than healer, more than prisoner. She was the fail-safe, the virus, the one who could shut it all down. Run, she told them again. But this time it wasn't fear in her voice. It was fire. The walls cracked, the fortress howled. Sky Hunters began to fall, one by one, as the system collapsed. Final scene: escape. Wex's voice came over the comm. I've held the door open, he said. You have 30 seconds. What about you? John asked. I'm not part of the story anymore, Wex said, but I finished it right. Then silence. The crew raced through falling halls. Lyra held her mother's hand. John looked back one last time. The sky cage was burning, not just destroyed, erased, and Wex's signal was gone. Closing line. In the silence of deep space, the crew floated in their stolen ship, bloody, broken, but alive. Lyra sat beside her mother and whispered, We came for rescue. But we left with revenge, the heart of the cage. The ship was drifting, silent, wounded, so was the crew. But John wasn't on board. Not fully. His body sat in the pilot chair, eyes open but empty. His mind was somewhere else, somewhere the sky cage still lived. Scene: entering the heart. John walked through a hallway made of white light. He wasn't wearing armor. He wasn't holding a weapon. He wasn't even breathing. The walls whispered names, his names: captain, pilot, scavenger, trader, builder, father. Father, he whispered. Then a voice replied, Yes, John, because you didn't just build the cage. You created her. Scene: the core memory. A room opened, wide and cold. In the center was a lab. Machines hummed, screens flashed, and in the middle, a tube glowing blue. Inside, a fetus, not human, not alien, something between, something designed. A woman stood beside it. She turned, and John saw her face. Lyra's mother, but younger, fierce, smiling. You loved me once, she said. You made me to protect the future. John shook his head. This isn't real. It was, she said, before they took me. You didn't just abandon the Sky Hunters, she whispered. You erased your own child. Scene: Lyra's origin. The truth unfolded like broken glass. Lyra was not just a girl. She was the final product of Project Horizon, a hybrid designed to unlock forbidden tech, to stop war, to stop humans from becoming monsters. But the project failed, or so they thought. Until John returned and heard the voice of the girl he never knew he had. Lyra wasn't just someone to save. She was the final key to destroying the last Sky Hunter stronghold, and maybe the human race along with it. Scene: the choice. The memory faded. John stood in a blank space. Before him stood Lyra, but older, stronger, glowing with power. If I live, she said, everything changes. The cage falls. The Sky Hunters die. But so does everything they were connected to. Old human tech, Earth's black archives, even space travel. You will save me, she said, but doom your kind. Or, you can stop me now. Behind her a door appeared. One path to escape. One path to silence. Scene: in the real world. Back on the ship. Vega was shaking John. "Wake up," she said. You're bleeding from the eyes." Krogar stood at the back, watching quietly. Lyra held her mother's hand, confused and scared. "What's wrong with him?" she asked. "He's inside the core," her mother said. "He's making a choice." Scene. The decision. John stepped forward, looked at Lyra, and smiled. "I didn't come this far to save a weapon," he said. "I came to save you." He reached for her hand, and everything exploded in light. Scene. The final lock. Back in the real world, the ship shuddered. A massive code appeared on the screen. John's voice came through the system. "Lyra is the override. She is the heart of the cage. And the future beyond it." Lyra stood, glowing with soft blue light. She placed her hand on the control panel and whispered one word: "End." Final scene, the collapse, the sky cage, even the parts still floating in orbit turned to ash, the systems, the weapons, the data. It all erased itself. Clean, silent, gone. The ship floated free again. John opened his eyes, alive, broken, but whole. Lyra ran to him and hugged him tight. "Thank you, Father," she said. "I'm not your father," he replied, smiling softly. "But I'll never leave you again." Escape and final battle. The sky cage was gone. But the storm was just beginning. Outside the ship, the stars blinked violently, one by one. Lights filled the system. Not suns, not asteroids, warships, hundreds of them. The final Skyhunter fleet. Scene. The fleet arrives. "They knew," Vega whispered, watching the radar fill with red. They were waiting. Krogar stood by the weapons panel, calm but ready. "They are not coming to capture us," he said. "They are coming to erase us." John looked around at his broken crew, then at Lyra, who now glowed with a strange, pulsing light. The fusion of code, memory, and something older than time. "She is the last key," her mother said. "Now they want to destroy the lock." Scene. The weapon awakens. Lyra stood in the center of the ship, eyes closed. The air around her shimmered. Panels glitched and powered on without being touched. The ship changed, grew wings of light, new armor plates forming from dust. "She's not a girl anymore," Vega said. "She's becoming the system." John stepped closer. "Can you still hear me?" he asked. Lyra opened her eyes. "I hear everything," she said. "Their plans, their fear. They're not just ships," she added. "They're codes, memories trapped in steel." Scene. The Skyhunter's truth. A transmission cut through all signals. The face of the Skyhunter's leader appeared, masked, silent until now. "You broke the balance," he said. "She was built to control us, not destroy us." "She was the final leash." John stared at him. "You enslaved generations," he said. "She broke your cage." The leader shook his head. "She broke time. If she awakens fully, the past dies. And so does Earth." Scene. The choice. Lyra turned to John. "If I fight them, the system collapses," she said. "No more Skyhunters, but no more Earth data either. No more jump gates, no more AI, no more tech older than me." John breathed slowly. "If we run, they chase," he said. "If we fight, everything ends." Vega looked out the window at the incoming ships. "What if Chateau? He's not just a weapon," she said. "What if she's a beginning?" Lyra looked down at her hands, and then she rose, floating, her body glowing like a newborn star. "I choose," she said. Scene. The final battle. The Skyhunters fired first. Beams of red light shot toward the ship, but Lyra raised her hand, and space bent. The beams shattered, turning to dust. She didn't fire back. She rewrote them. Each ship froze mid-flight, their memories unlocked. Soldiers dropped their weapons, weeping, reliving what they did, what they lost, what they were forced to become. One by one, their systems overloaded, not with code, but with truth. Scene. The collapse of the old. The fleet drifted, powerless. The last of the Skyhunters fell into silence. Then the stars began to flicker, not from war, but from systems collapsing across the galaxy. Old tech, black archives, war factories, all failing, as if the cage had reached everywhere, and now it was gone. Scene. The aftermath. Lyra floated gently back to the floor. Her glow faded. She looked tired, but free. John caught her before she fell. "You did it," he whispered. "No," she said. We did. Behind them, the ship shook. We have to go, Vega said. The gravitational core is destabilizing. Kroger carried Lyra's mother, John took the pilot's seat one last time, and they escaped. Final scene, the new dawn. Days later, they landed on a quiet moon. No warships, no patrols, just sky and wind and silence. Lyra stood under a blue sun. I can feel them, she said, all the broken things. But they're quiet now. John placed a hand on her shoulder. What happens next, he asked. She smiled. We build something better. The past was gone. The cage was broken. And the future had a voice of its own.